My sister hired a mediator to shame me at Christmas, but the meeting turned on her. This Christmas Eve, I found myself sitting across from my sister and the mediator she secretly hired, while a thick folder labeled "Problem File" sat between us like a loaded weapon. Madison believed tonight would be my intervention, a dramatic performance meant to shame me, redeem her, and paint me as the unstable disappointment of the Flores family. What she didn't know was that the mediator had already reviewed every bank statement, email, and record I had submitted ahead of time. The only person about to be exposed at this perfectly curated holiday table wasn't me. My name is Ava Flores. I'm 31, living alone in a cramped, chilly apartment in North Denver. To my landlord, I'm the quiet tenant who never misses rent. To my clients, I'm the dependable consultant answering emails at 2 a.m. But in Silver Ridge, the upscale suburb where my family lives, I'm nothing more than the eccentric daughter, the glitch in a flawless system, the problem to be solved. I parked my 10-year-old sedan 3 houses away, because I knew the driveway would already be filled with cars that cost more than my annual rent. I gripped the steering wheel until my knuckles turned white, the cold air stinging my lungs. Years ago, this moment would have triggered panic. I would have checked my reflection a dozen times, terrified that mascara smudges would be treated as signs of instability. I would have rehearsed apologies for things I never did. But tonight, I smoothed the lapel of my new blazer, paid for with my own money, tailored perfectly, and lifted my leather tote from the passenger seat. Inside was a sleek silver USB drive, a stack of printed documents, and a sealed envelope. It felt like armor. The Flores front door swung open before I could knock, spilling out the smell of cinnamon, roasted turkey, and overpriced pine candles. A 12-foot Christmas tree glittered in gold and silver. It looked like a postcard, but the tension in the air felt nothing like a holiday. It felt like the moment before a surgeon delivers bad news. My mother, Karen, stood by the staircase in a cream cashmere sweater, wearing a smile that never touched her eyes. "You made it," she said, sounding more surprised than pleased. She didn't hug me. She simply gestured toward the living room. "Everyone is waiting." My father stood near the fireplace with a glass of scotch, nodding stiffly. And then there was Madison, center stage, glowing in a red velvet dress, radiating victory. She rushed toward me and wrapped me in a hug that was more choreography than affection. Light, brief, hollow. "We were worried you might bail," she said sweetly. "You know how you get when you feel overwhelmed." "Easter here. I'm fine, Madison. It's Christmas." Immediately she shifted, grabbing her boyfriend Jason's hand and presenting him like a trophy. My parents lit up around him, praising his corporate job, his stability, his solid future. They formed a tight circle of admiration. And as always, I was left standing on the outside, clutching my bag like a lifeline. "Dinner will be in 20 minutes, Madison announced. "But before that, we need to take care of the main event." Behind her, the sunroom had been transformed into an intervention circle. 5 chairs arranged tightly, a box of tissues in the center, and a mediator waiting like a judge. The air thickened around me. So this was the plan. "Ava, this is Rowan Hale," Madison said, "the mediator I hired." Rowan extended a calm, professional hand. "I know having a stranger here tonight is unusual, but your sister cares deeply about the harmony of this family." Harmony. That word sat in the air like a trap. "We can't keep pretending everything is fine," Madison added, voice trembling just enough to appear noble. "Your situation affects all of us." My situation. Her favorite vague accusation, useful because it meant everything and nothing. My mother nodded. "Shiny. Ava, we just want you to be functional." Functional. As if I were a broken appliance. We took our seats. I sat in the lone chair facing all of them. The accused. My parents sat side by side. solemn and righteous. Jason looked like he wished he had stayed home. And Madison wore a tragic, self-sacrificial expression that would have earned her an award if this were a movie. She expected tears. She expected collapse. She expected to win. Rowan opened his notebook. Ava, this is a safe space. Before Madison shares her concerns, do you have any thoughts? I rested my hand on the metal zipper of my bag. Inside was the truth. 3 years of bank statements proving my 6-figure income, the contract naming me lead consultant for a major tech firm, screenshots of Madison asking me for money, emails from my mother calling me an embarrassment, evidence they never imagined I had. Actually, I said calmly, I do. Madison blinked, thrown off by my composure. I met her gaze and smiled, sharp, controlled. Transparency is exactly what this family needs, and I brought materials to deliver it. Her smile flickered. The Flores family had always been a masterclass in appearances. Silver Ridge wasn't just a suburb, it was a curated exhibit of the American dream. Every lawn, mailbox, and SUV was a prop. Success wasn't private, it was performance. Madison, the golden child, was always front and center. I, on the other hand, existed offstage, quietly observing, unseen, unwanted, or worse, misunderstood. From childhood, the contrast was brutal. While Madison rehearsed smiles, I hunched over second-hand computers, absorbed in worlds I could control. I loved code, design, and photography. I thrived behind the lens. In family photos, I was relegated to the periphery, the quiet one, the mistake in the otherwise perfect frame. My parents' subtle scripting reinforced it. This is Madison, she's a star. And Ava, she's just quiet. Holiday. Eyes were the sharpest reminder. Christmas was a competitive sport. Gifts were trophies. I remember one morning at 14. Madison tore open an iPad and a high-end camera, tools to document her accolades. I received practical winter clothes. My pleas for a camera were ignored. My achievements were distractions. Hers were celebrated. Even discipline was unequal. A broken glass called my name. Madison could scrape a bumper, and her error became charming. Truth in Silver Ridge was malleable. I learned to shrink, to hide. I became the family photographer. Not because I wanted to serve, but because the camera gave me a legitimate excuse to remain invisible. One pivotal moment came in junior year. I entered a statewide design contest on clean water. After weeks of work, I won first place and $500. When I presented it to my family, they praised practicality over talent. Madison, ever the critic, mocked the idea of chasing dreams. I learned then, my success would belong to me alone. After high school, Madison thrived in California with my parents' investment, tuition, car, apartment. I moved into a tiny studio in Denver, working graveyard shifts at a coffee shop, learning design online, teaching myself skills while freezing through harsh winters. Phone calls home pivoted back to Madison. She's thriving. You need to learn responsibility. So when Madison orchestrated the Christmas Eve intervention, I was ready. Her performance of concern, my parents' solemn nods, Jason's discomfort, the mediator's careful watch, it all set the stage. She expected tears, anger, a crumbling Ava. Instead, I had proof. I had evidence. I was no longer the shadow in the corner. I was the one holding the lens. When asked if I had thoughts, I rested my hand on my bag, letting its weight anchor me. Calmly I spoke. Madison blinked, disarmed. Transparency, I said, was the gift this family needed, and I had brought it. Madison thought she had scripted the night. She believed she could hire a mediator, dictate the narrative, and cement herself as the saintly sister. She never imagined I would arrive prepared, folder in hand, carrying undeniable proof of my life. Evidence that contradicted every word she told, every story she spun. The room held its breath. My parents leaned forward. Jason shifted uneasily. Madison's face, painted with concern, faltered. She wasn't in control. I was. I opened the folder carefully. Bank statements, contracts, and documented conversations spilled onto the table. The mediator scanned everything. The narrative Madison had rehearsed for decades crumbled beneath facts. Every assumption about me faced undeniable proof. Memories flashed. Being dismissed for artistic talent, having my design contest victory ignored. Christmas mornings where my existence was merely a backdrop to Madison's performance. Every slight, every erasure, led to this moment. I met Madison's eyes. Calmly I said, "This is exactly why transparency matters." No anger, no tears, just clarity. The mediator acknowledged the integrity of the presentation. It wasn't her victory, it was truth. For the first time, I was not a shadow. I was Ava Flores, professional, capable, unstoppable, seen. The intervention flipped. The family witnessed my story fully documented. The golden child's pedestal wobbled under truth. In Silver Ridge, families were like photographs. Every person had a pose, a role, a scripted smile. But when reality clashed with performance, the image cracked. That night, I reclaimed my frame. I was no longer cropped out, unseen, or labeled a failure. I had the truth, and the power to stand fully in it. Christmas dinner went on, but nothing was the same. Madison's victory was gone, replaced by accountability. My parents could no longer control the narrative. I understood finally. Living in someone else's shadow is a choice. That night, I created a frame of my own. And within it, I stood tall, visible, undeniable. And for once, Christmas wasn't about appearances. It wasn't about staged smiles or curated perfection. It was about truth. And I had finally brought it home.